In terms of the demographics, again, there's often a perception that social network is for kids, and the reality is really quite a long way from that. There have been very kids-focused sites, but for us, we have 13% of our users in the declared 13 to 17 age bracket, and I'll touch on this issue of declared age and younger ages later, because that's one of the challenges I think we ought to talk about. But declared 13 to 17 users is 13% of the user base. 87% are 18 plus, based on their declared ages. Within that group, 27% of our user base in the UK are 18 to 24, 28% 25 to 34, and actually 33% are 35 plus, and 35 plus has been our fastest growing demographic. So that reach, I think, again, is quite socially significant when you're thinking about communities of learning, that it's not just about reaching the children, it's about reaching the other people in the community. We feel that our geographical reach is pretty comprehensive across the United Kingdom. The press have reported that Sunderland is the Facebook hotspot. I don't know how they got those numbers out there. But I mean, we can look at the stats and we're pretty comprehensively across the United Kingdom. We think our social spread is pretty broad. And again, I'll talk in a minute about why we're not totally dependent on a broadband connection, which is one of the limiting factors. And then interestingly, in terms of social reach, what we're seeing is a phenomenon of bringing parents onto Facebook as grandparents. In other words, a very common pattern now is that a 30-something has children, they post the photos to Facebook, and they talk to their 60-something parents and say, hey, if you want to see the photos, I need to get you online. And the kids will do the whole getting online exercise. They'll choose the computer, they'll choose the broadband package, they'll set the parents up with an account, and then they'll form a community, a three-generation community from the grandchildren through the parents to the grandparents. And that kind of phenomenon, at the moment, is kind of anecdotal. We see a lot of it, in terms of our user base and the stories we get back. And there's a nice piece on the Facebook site called stories.facebook.com where we encourage users to talk about these kind of stories. But again, with the research community this morning, I was talking about the value that we would see in getting some more substantive research around that phenomenon and that level of social reach. In terms of the activity on the site, people typically have around 150 friends, but youngsters have more friends. So there are some quite clear distinctions about the way that youngsters work. Actually, girls typically have more friends than boys and are more active on the site. And again, another interesting phenomenon going against the traditional idea of where internet services are is that we're we're more female than male. And that's pretty universal. I think in the UK it's around 53, 47, and that varies according to who's been signed up. But in most countries we're somewhere between 51 to 55 female and 49 to 45 male. So females clearly are adopting this internet service.